Welcome. Welcome to the Ohio State University Latinx Experience Student Edition presentation, the first webinar in our three-part event series that discovers, unpacks, and discusses the lived experience for three different Latinx populations at Ohio State: student, staff, and faculty. Thank you to our moderators, panelists, attendees, and future viewers for joining us tonight. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am Michael Bustamante, he, him, his pronouns, and I am the Latinx Student Success Program Coordinator within the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. The LSS team works to cultivate Latinx communities for academic, social, and professional support. The LSS team promotes full inclusion of Latinx students and seeks to raise the visibility of Latinx groups on campus. Through high-impact programs and collaborations, the LSS team is here to serve students, staff, and faculty of the Ohio State Latinx community. This goal is met with three signature programs: the MESA Early Arrival Program, the MESA Leadership Institute, and the Conversaciones con Café event series. More information about LSS can be found at the Office of Diversity and Inclusion's website, odi.osu.edu. Before jumping into our question answer panelist presentation, I'd like to note that ODI is celebrating its 50th anniversary. As the university celebrates its sesquicentennial, the Office of Diversity and Inclusion has a special anniversary of our own to recognize: our 50th anniversary. From our tumultuous beginnings in 1970 until today, our office has stood proudly as a fierce advocate for historically underrepresented students, staff, and faculty. The world has changed over the past half century, but we have never wavered from our bedrock principle that greater inclusion has merit and diversity brings us strength. It is important to us to honor the giants of diversity whose shoulders we stand on today. And that is why in early 2021, we will induct the first 50 icons of inclusion into our inaugural Office of Diversity and Inclusion Hall of Fame. As we turn 50, we vow that our best days are ahead of us. We have ambitious plans to expand our capacities by tirelessly building onto the foundation of our first half century, removing barriers every day. We all benefit when diversity and inclusion is woven through our daily work. And to succeed, we must all pull together. We look forward to your continued commitment as we push onward for the next horizon. A few comments before I introduce our moderators for tonight and hand them the mic. We are offering closed captioning for this event, so please feel free to use that function below. And also, our two other webinars for staff and faculty held Wednesday and Thursday of this week are still open for registration, so please feel free to register for those events as well. All of that said, please allow me to introduce our moderators for tonight. I am proud to introduce our amazing moderators for tonight's presentation, our wonderful student assistants, Michelle Cardenas and Isabel Castillo Anderson. Michelle is a fourth year, currently completing a BA in International Studies, specializing in world economy and business. After graduation, Michelle plans to complete an internship program with Starbucks headquarters in Seattle, Washington, working her way into corporate management positions. In her free time, Michelle likes to create various forms of vinyl art. Isabel is also a fourth year and is currently completing a dual degree program in political science and strategic communications with a minor in leadership studies. After graduation, she wants to work in political communications or public relations. In her free time, Isabel enjoys spending time outdoors, specifically hammocking. Please join me in welcoming Isabel and Michelle.
Hi, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be with you tonight as the moderators for the panel. We will now take a few moments to introduce our wonderful student panelists for tonight. So first off, we have Jesse Fernandez, and he is a fifth-year exercise science major whose hometown is Elyria, Ohio. He is of Puerto Rican heritage and serves as the president of Alpha Psi Lambda National Fraternity Incorporated, Alpha Chapter, and the vice president of community development for the Multicultural Greek Council.
Next up, we have Stefania Torres-Grisales, who is a fourth-year a social work major with a minor in Spanish. As a Latinx woman, she enjoys working with her community and has been heavily involved with the Latinx community at OSU and throughout Columbus since her freshman year. She currently serves as the president of the Latinx Student Association, volunteers with Laser and Proyecto Mariposa, and is interning with the Ohio Hispanic Coalition.
Priscilla M. Garcia Rodriguez is a PhD candidate in molecular genetics department. She was born and raised in Puerto Rico, where she obtained her BS in industrial biotechnology from the University at Puerto Rico at Mayagüez. In 2016, she became a Buckeye and is now working in Dr. Paul Herman's lab, where she studies proteins involved in human neurodegenerative diseases. She's been involved with SOCNAS at OSU since 2018, where she serves as the current president. She really enjoys playing video games.
Last but not least, we have Chilal Rima, who is originally from Denver, Colorado, and is of Colombian and Mexican descent. He did his undergraduate career at the University of Colorado in Boulder and is a third-year PhD candidate in the Department of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering. Chilal is currently the treasurer of SOCNAS, which is the Society for the Advancement of Chicanos, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Science, and is the vice president of YEGA, which is Latino-Latina Engineering Graduate Association. His research focuses on engineering glass surfaces to encourage the communication of cells to better comprehend cancer dormancy.
We will now move into our first question for the panelists. So that is, how did you get involved with your organization, and what advice do you have for students who are kind of struggling to find their right fit on campus?
Okay, so I came from Colorado, and so I know that when I first came here, I didn't really know anybody. I had never been to Ohio before, only for a couple, for the visitation of the university, of course, and then, but other than that, I knew nothing about it. So the reason I got involved in both YEGA and SACNAS was because I was looking for programs that fit both of my interests, which was looking for my culture, as well as looking for something that was more dedicated to research as well. So both, I think, fit those two niches very nicely, and so that's how I got involved with both of those groups. And my recommendation for students coming in is to, in a sense, recognize your interests and look for groups that have these interests, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try something new. I also joined, for example, the Latino Student Association dance team, something that I had never done, but it's good to try new things, and I think you meet a lot of nice people this way too. So.
So for me, the way I found Alpha Psi Lambda was just at the involvement fair. I remember my freshman year, I went and I signed up for like 300 different student organizations. So my email to this day is still flooded with emails from all these orgs. But just like after like a few years, like, and I didn't like initially like join the organization or anything like that. I took 2 years to sort of like think about it because I had a lot of time commitments with like my scholarship programs and everything. And then just like I continuously like noticed that I was interested in it. I met some like mutual members and friends through LSA as well. So I think it was just sort of like finding people like in my classes and in like the other organizations that I was in that just sort of like pushed me in the right direction. And like, I don't know, my advice would be to just go out and like meet as many friends as you can. I was very shy my first year. Like I didn't really talk to anybody. And although my grades were really good that semester, I kind of had no fun at all. Like I just sat in my room, played video games every single day by myself. So don't do that. Go out and make friends, and yeah, just look for people.
I would say for me, my senior year of high school, actually, because I'm from Columbus. I was raised here, and I actually had gotten involved with LASER, the Latin American Space for Enrichment and Research program. And I had met my mentor through there, who she kind of actually brought me to LSA within my like senior year of high school, even though that wasn't really like a thing. But I kind of already knew about the program beforehand. So then once I came into my freshman year of college, I already knew to go straight to LSA. And then from there, since I'm also involved in the Moral Scholars Program, I kind of saw different Latinx students, and then we just kind of connected with what resources we knew already, whether it was from the involvement fair or from like anywhere else we heard by word of mouth. And I think it would just be like a recommendation of like definitely hearing what other people have to say, because you honestly like never know what other resources other people could have besides the ones that you already know.
Yeah, I agree with what the rest of the panelists have said. And I would add that I got involved in SACNAS in my third year. And I wish I had gotten involved earlier. So I encourage you to get involved early in your graduate career.
Okay, so on to our second question. If applicable, how did you adapt to the dorm experience?
For me, I adapted very well, honestly. I was very ready to get out of my house, my parents' house. So it was honestly pretty kind of easy. My freshman year, my cousin was my roommate, so it was pretty smooth sailing because we like are both very outgoing people. So we got to meet like people very easily. Some of our best friends became like the people from our dorm, like hall. But I think that eventually, like, because she eventually left, like, the following year, like, I think it was just a thing of like still being outgoing and being open, being kind. I know usually people kind of already have like their clicked groups by probably like sophomore year, but I tried not to let it get to me, if anything, because I knew that at the end of the day, like I still had other friends, I had my friend groups. So I think it's also just a reminder of like, you can make friends anywhere. Like you don't have to adjust to just like the dorm life, like of being friends with people just in the dorms or anything. But it definitely helps kind of in a way. So
I would agree with that too. Like you don't have to make just your friends in the dorms. For my dorm experience, I was in the Stadium Scholars Program. So the dorms are a bit different. They're like two buildings on South Campus, Scholars East and West, and they each only have like 50 people in them. So they're really small, like really close-knit communities. You have to do a bunch of stuff for the program. Like you have to host your own events in your committee, attend events for other committees, do study hours, things like that. So like we all knew each other really well. And one of like my best memories of Ohio State is going to be back in those dorms, like hanging out in the common areas. We basically turned it into a living room because since there was only so many people on our floor, there was probably like 10 people. We knew whose stuff was whose. So like one of the guys brought his TV out and put this huge TV in the common area. One of the guys brought an Xbox out and hooked it up to the TV. And we had like a mini fridge out there, like community snacks. Like we made it like our little home. So like it was super cool. And I definitely regret not going out to meet them my first semester because like by the time like that second semester rolled around, like everyone who was a freshman was already super close with them. So I felt like I was trying to like dig my way into the group, but like I still acclimated well. But yeah, it was super cool. It was a lot of fun. But I would definitely echo what Stefania said, like go find your friends outside of the dorms too. So that way you have like multiple social groups. Like I found a lot of friends through LSA and I started like going out with them and checking out like these restaurants and like places to just like go have fun on the weekends and things like that.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for your responses. I think our other two panelists did not live in dorms here at OSU. So our next question is, how would you self-describe your Latinx identity? And has this changed at all since you came to Ohio State?
For me, I actually would say, I don't, it doesn't really go necessarily like, well, it does go kind of hand in hand, but like, so like in high school, I was always very proud of my heritage, because I do come of Colombian heritage, and I was always very in tune with like my culture, the background and everything. Like I grew up around it my whole life. So I was never like embarrassed or anything. I was always celebrating it. I just never really had the community to share it with, like besides like my parents or my family. So I think that if anything, I got to just embrace it more once I came to college. But the intersectionality that came eventually with it was that got to eventually like start openly identifying like as a bisexual Latinx woman, which I don't think I could have ever done like before college. I think like in college it makes it a lot more free to say that. So I think that's something that has definitely changed, but it's obviously like in a positive way for me.
Yeah, that's a hard question. But I did my undergrad and my master's in Puerto Rico. And so when I was there, I didn't really think about my identity because I was surrounded with, people from my own culture. And then when I came here, I realized that I missed that. So that's how I actually got involved in SACNAS, because I was looking for some people to share my culture with, just like Stefania said. So yeah, how it changed, it just amplified my need to, cook Puerto Rican food and listen to Puerto Rican music. But back when I was doing my undergrad and back home, I just didn't even think about it. So yeah, being away from home sort of amplified it for me.
Yeah, I would, in a sense, agree with both of the speakers. So I know for me, when I first came to Ohio, I was pretty nervous. I didn't know how many Latinx people were actually here. And so I started Googling, looking up Latin restaurants around Ohio, Columbus, where can I go? And so I think kind of like Priscilla was saying that I guess kind of that fear of not having Latinx people around kind of surprised me when I came here. Because then I started meeting a whole bunch of people from different backgrounds of Latin America. And I think in a sense it has amplified my the way I represent my culture. And I think also um, the fact that I think most of my class is international students. I think that in a sense has also brought me to kind of more show my culture in that sense too.
For me, I've always sort of battled with my identity because obviously I'm a white Latinx man, and that always has been kind of hard for me because like when I'm around my family, they're all darker than me. So like I get my whiteness from my mother, but I don't know anything about her culture because she doesn't know anything about her culture. So all I know is Puerto Rican culture. So I always felt out of place and like I wasn't Puerto Rican enough for my family because I didn't speak Spanish. I was like born in America. I don't have like those, like actual ties to Puerto Rico, even though I've gone. But so it was always sort of a battle for me. And even in high school, like people always referred to me as like the White Rican, which like I never really liked being called that, but I just kind of went with it because I had nobody else to sort of like hang out with that was Puerto Ricans who helped me with that. So it was sort of a learning experience for me when I came to Ohio State because up until my third year, I didn't have any like Latinx friends. I hung out with the people in the dorm, and they were all just either white students or black students. There was no Latinx students in my, or at least in my building. I think there was one other guy, but he was very antisocial, so he didn't want to hang out with me. So whatever. But yeah, it was just sort of like a learning experience. Finding it took me a while to find like my little group of people, and they sort of helped me like embrace my culture more and like take me out to places and like enjoy like the food that I want to enjoy and listen to the music that I want to listen to. So yeah, I guess like your identity is just kind of like what you make it and what you want.
So we have a question from our audience, and the question is, especially with COVID, how can we make connections with the Latinx community if everything is online?
So I think that this is definitely something that everybody is struggling with. I know that for me, it's definitely been hard because like sometimes I will hang out with like a friend if it's like if I like kind of pre-check like, hey, like where have you been and everything. But I also have been trying to do like just within like LSA, we've been trying to do like a lot more things of obviously staying more so virtually online. But like because we have been kind of attracting more so of like freshmen or like incoming sophomores or like transfer students and things like that. Um, and I think we're all just trying to, I think just all Latinx organizations in general are trying to like find out different ways to kind of like keep up as many events as possible to kind of meet new people. I think it's just kind of hard to navigate how to like attract people's attentions. Like I know like for us, like it was, I think like some of the steps that I've already seen kind of happen this semester have been like people creating like a new like Latinx like group chat, or even just like people were making like a Snapchat group, like, and then I know like one of my e-board members started a pen pal program, so like even that was like a cool thing I thought, because it was like, oh, like if we don't maybe know like people on this campus who identify as Latinx, like then this pen pal could be a cool thing, because then it's like you get to meet a new friend and then you get to kind of have the opportunity to like send a letter or so if you want, like the old times, or like do little care packages, like just little cute things like that. I think it's just like nice to kind of bring back like old fashioned things in order to get to know one another somehow and still be safe, honestly.
Yeah, so I know that when I was first looking for groups, the way I became introduced to some of these groups was actually through email. So I saw like welcoming events through emails and stuff like that. So I would say for the incoming student to keep an eye open for these emails, although the introduction won't necessarily be in person, it'll still be online. And so that first introducing email will still be there, just as it would in person. So I would keep an eye out for those.
Yeah, I was gonna definitely just recommend kind of what Stefania and Chila were talking about. Like there's I believe the UCLO newsletter, or the Latinx, isn't there like a Latinx calendar email or something like that? I don't know. There's like 2 newsletters that go out, and they have like a bunch of information, as well as like the Latinx group chats on GroupMe. Those are always super helpful. Pretty much it's hard because everything has to be virtual, right? And it gets very monotonous to be on Zoom meetings all day long. So it's hard to want to bond on a Zoom meeting when you're tired of them. But one thing that I have noticed that is pretty dope, in that Latinx group me, they'll just like toss like Among Us codes for like lobbies in there, and they'll be like, hey, let's play Among Us real quick. And like that's just such a quick and easy thing to do, to just play. And then like I feel like it all just starts with like building relationships, and it could be something as simple as you play one game, right? You remember, oh, this person was the one who sent out the code, so like they're kind of friendly. And then the next time you want to play, you send out the code, and then that person joins, and it's like, okay, cool, this person is easy going. So now you have one connection, and that connection leads you to, oh, these two people, oh, we're gonna have like a game night of me and my roommates, and it's just gonna be 4 of us, you know. So like if you want to come over social distance and play like Uno or something, now you have, you know, a small circle, and then it just builds like that. So just, I don't know, try to just keep there's really no answer, but just maybe like keep at it and just keep trying, you know, to hang out with people as best you can.
Yeah, I agree with what all the panelists said, and Jesse mentioned UCLO, and I know Isabel is the leader there, so they have their calendar on their website. So you know, on your own, you know, emails and Zoom webinars and everything, but you can go check out their website. Maybe Isabel can put that on the chat. I'm sorry, I can't chat right now, but yeah, that's a great calendar. A bunch of Latinx student organizations just put their events in that calendar. So if you feel like you want to connect with someone, just go.
I just have a quick follow-up question from that question. So in LSS, we're also kind of struggling with that as well, this transition to online virtual environment due to COVID, and trying to maintain social distancing and other protocols as per the university and the state, and keeping everyone safe and healthy and well. I found that there's a lot of students in my experience who are kind of struggling with their mental health, whether that's physical health, whether it's psychological health, mentally, socially, etc. Have you seen that in your own respective organizations or within yourself? And then if so, how do you handle that? How are you handling that?
I'll just be blunt, I'm not handling it well. It's rough, you know, for people who are social people who need to go out and have those social interactions or need to get up from their desk, they can't, you know, and it's really hard for them. And then some people who, you know, their stress reliever may be working out or something, or doing something physical to get their mind off it, to take care of their body, don't feel comfortable going to gyms because, you know, they're packed, and there's going to be some people who don't like wear their mask properly, or you risk, okay, what if they didn't actually wipe down their equipment and they were positive? There's a lot of things that, you know, can sort of mess with you. So it's really tough. I noticed myself, we actually, Alpha Psi Lambda, at our chapter meeting last night, we had a presentation. Someone from SFL came in and gave a presentation on mental health. And he talked about how a lot of times when you're in crises like these, your body will go into like a survival mode, and you'll start doing things to sort of give yourself any sort of like normalcy. And I think what happened, at least for me, is I started just tacking on everything that I could. So like, okay, yeah, I can do this task for this organization. I can do all of these papers for this class. Yeah, sure, I'll sign up for this event. Doesn't matter. Give me more hours at work. Just like keeping myself busy so that I'm not thinking about, you know, we are in a pandemic and like things aren't okay. And then that leads for me to be burning out. And sometimes it just takes someone else saying something like that to sort of like wake you up and be like, oh, I'm not handling this well. So, I mean, at least for me, now that I know it, I'm going to start focusing on doing things to help myself handle it better. But I don't know, just take care of yourself. Try to like look up resources if you can.
I would say for me, I am also not handling it well. Just to be honest, I, especially at the beginning, I was not handling it well. And I already suffer from like a lot of mental health illnesses. So like it was just went downhill from there. But I think that one, treatment, never be ashamed to get treatment. A therapy is like a great thing. I know there's so much stigma, especially in our community, but it is wonderful. So if anyone ever needs like help with that too, feel free to ask. Like, I'm sure like we honestly like probably like all of us here or even just like someone within the Latinx community will definitely know resources. But I think that it's just been like a thing of getting accustomed to like remembering that you have like a good support, if you have a good support system, like even just like I think that reaching out to random people sometimes, like you'd be surprised they would still be okay with like, oh, like how are you doing, like yeah, I'm here for you if anything. And I think for me it's just been a thing where I've been so busy this semester that I think that it's just kind of distracted me either way. So like I've just been like focused on like, okay, I have to do this, and I feel like I'm kind of like how Jesse was saying, like my body's probably in this thing where it's just like, okay, you're just doing this and this to like feel normal at this point. So that's probably where I'm at. But I think that the fact that a bunch of the organizations that we're in are trying to do different things, whether it's like game nights, self-care, like having fun, doing little small things, like I think that's also been helping a lot, because I know I love seeing that and getting to just talk to people, like releasing from all of the stress. It's wonderful. So
Yeah, I think both of you said has been awesome and great. Thank you. It is a difficult time, and I do want to, or I want people to know that this is a situation that not a lot of people live through. The last time this happened was 100 years ago. So if you are feeling unproductive, we're in a pandemic. I mean, it's going to be difficult. So I do urge professors and maybe people like that do give out these homeworks to be more patient with the students, because it's a very difficult moment. And I know for a lot of people going to the university, we're also without our families per se, or sometimes we're stuck at home. Both can be very stressful situations depending. So it's just a difficult time, and I think yeah, doing and treating yourself, I think, is something that I've been trying to do. So every once in a while, maybe I'll order food and something that I like, kind of celebrate and say, okay, I'm doing well. I can enjoy something.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone said. I also want to stress and emphasize something that Stefania said, which is going to therapy. I know that in general, going to therapy has its stigma, like Stefania mentioned, but especially in the Latinx community, there's, you know, a uh, lot of stigma around it. You know, if you go to therapy, you are, you know, local, which is not true. So yeah, I want to second that. Just go to therapy if you feel like you need to. And also in terms of student organizations, I feel like it's a very good idea for if you belong to a student organization and you have an idea, or you think you want to do an activity that you think will help you with your mental health, and you would like to do that with your student organization, reach out to your leaders. You know, we as student organization leaders, you know, have our own biases, our own experiences, and maybe what works for me will not work probably for everyone for sure. So if you think, you know, something like game night will help, or something else specifically, want to, you know, your student organization to do that, don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, you know, I'm from SACNAS, so hey, SACNAS leaders, I think it'll be great to get together and do X activity. That would be very, very helpful for everyone, I think.
Awesome. So, speaking kind of on the path of self-care, one of my favorite ways to care for myself is to try new foods, and also to try foods that remind me of home. So what is your favorite Latinx restaurant in Columbus? Or if you like to try other foods, what is your favorite like cultural spot here in Columbus?
I love El Arepaso. So it's a Colombian Venezuelan restaurant. I know back in the day when the pandemic wasn't happening, they also had salsa dancing, which was fun. But I in Denver, Colorado, there isn't that big of a Colombian community. So I was very excited to have that restaurant here, and it's delicious, and happy to eat that.
Mine would be Los Galapagos. It's on the west side. It's like an Ecuadorian restaurant, but it does have like some Venezuelan Colombian food. So it's super yummy. I'm pretty sure it's like family owned. So it's like small, but it's still really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention Si Senor, which is a Peruvian sandwich restaurant. I also love it at Repaso. And in terms of other food, I love Indian food, and there's many, many, many Indian restaurants. So.
I was thinking this whole time. I'm very indecisive, but I think my favorite would be Los Guachos. It's a Mexican taco place. It's a bit far from campus, I'm not gonna lie. It's on like Go Down Road or something like that. But definitely hit that up if you have like a way to get there.
So we have a question from our audience. How do you handle school and work with Latinx organizations and other clubs? They said sometimes it feels like they're so overwhelmed with school that they can't find time for organizations.
Perfect. This is exactly what I've been struggling with. So I have a lot of responsibilities. I'm always pulled in a bunch of different directions. One thing that works for me is having like a task list. So there's this website that I use. It's called Trello.com, Trello. And you can essentially just make these like lists, right? So on mine, for example, I have need to do, and then I'll just type in all of my stuff that I need to do, and I will color code them based on what they're for, and I'll put due dates on them as well. And for me, nothing feels better than being able to like finish a task and like cross it off. So I have need to do, doing, and done, and then I will if it's something that's like going to take me a minute, I'll just move it to the doing one. So like, for example, one was like, I'm applying for grad school. So I was like, I need to email everybody that I'm applying to. So I'll just move that to doing, because I emailed 2 out of 6. And then for my biochem class, I'm like, okay, I have a quiz due by Sunday. I'll put it there, and then I'll just, as soon as I finish it, move it to done. And then once your list gets too long, you can just like click the thing and just archive the things in the list, and it'll just like clear the list. So that's super helpful. And then I also use Google Calendar on my phone. That thing is so solid. Like, I don't remember who recommended that to me, but man, shout out to them. That like helped my entire life get organized. Again, you can put, it visually shows you, like I set it to like my week, and then I can color code everything. I can see specifically how long it's going to be. So that way I know like if my day is packed or not. You can put like notes attached to the event. You can put like an address if it's like a doctor's appointment or something. Just all types of stuff. So I would definitely use those 2. And then that can sort of help like the head clutter of knowing you have a bunch of stuff to do and being afraid to forget what you have to do. Just writing it down and having it like scheduled out can help a ton.
I definitely agree with the organization. It's definitely helped me with getting everything under control and to feel less stress. I do want to say also, I think a key thing is also just kind of going back to like what we were all saying beforehand, is just like when you're getting involved in organizations and with like schoolwork, I think it's just also a thing of realizing what the priority is and what your interests are. Because if you're kind of starting like at the beginning and just joining all these clubs, and then you find that like it's probably not benefiting you in the long run, like it's probably not gonna make you grow as a person professionally, personally, like in all these different ways, and I think it's kind of something to reevaluate and see like is this going to help me? Is this something I want to do? Is it worth all the stress and just another thing to add on? So I think that's also like a little piece of advice. But if it's something that like it's 100% something that like you will stick with, then organization is key.
Yeah, I would add just know how to set your boundaries too. So if you know that something's going to be too overwhelming, it's okay to say no. Um, I'll stress that again. It's okay to say no. You don't have to say yes to everything that's thrown at you.
Yeah, I want to stress that out too. That's great advice, Shalal. And also, yeah, I agree with Jesse said about Google Calendar. I don't know what Trello is, but I'll check it out. But Google Calendar is amazing, and it's also a good way for you to, set your boundaries even for yourself. I'm gonna be working. This is how much time I'm gonna devote to work, and then make sure that you also have time for your self care. So Google Calendar is great for that.
I just want to echo what Chilao said. You don't have to say yes to everything. I literally have it written. That's like my whiteboard of random nonsense that has nothing to do with school. I have my 4 like pillars of reminders for my mental health, which is 1, I deserve to be loved. 2, it is okay to rest. You are allowed to rest. 3, you don't have to do everyone's job, which is like you can say no. And then 4, celebrate your wins. Don't ignore them. So like those are things I always forget to do. So I wrote those down and I remind myself about that. So yes, at 22 years old, I am just now learning I'm allowed to say no. So thank you, Chilao.
Great points, Jesse. I really relate to those points. And I just want to jump in here because I love organizational stuff. I'm a nerd for all this stuff. And I use OneNote. So if you haven't used OneNote, check it out. It's amazing. I love it. OneNote. And I'll leave that to it.
Good. I was just gonna add real quick that, and it's not something that we're just struggling with, and I know Jesse said you're 22 and you're still learning this. I know I went to this workshop in Michigan, and they were telling us that even associate professors, for example, have problems saying no, and so that's something that even at that level, a professor has problems doing this. So it's just something everybody lives and we could all work.
Actually, on that exact point, what we want to talk about next is kind of how professors can support OSU students with everything going on with COVID, social things that are happening, the election. So what is one thing that you would tell your professors right now?
Again, I would tell them to be patient. Be patient with us. It's difficult. It's difficult times, especially with the election coming by. We don't know what the results will be, and it can be stressful to any student really. So either way it goes. So I think just to be patient.
I'd honestly just tell them to chill. Like, please, I can't do this no more. Y'all gotta relax. I feel like every single week there's like project for this class. Next week there's like exam for class 2, but that first class has another paper due, and then the week 3 is even more work to do. And I'm like, y'all making my head hurt. Please stop. Calm down.
Yeah, I think I would kind of just tell them, like, can you like beg for them to understand and remind them that we're all in a pandemic, so they're not the only ones like stressed like we are too. Like we have to do so many things, but obviously like in a nice manner. So
I would encourage professors to do all of those things, but also to be receptive to their students, not students. We're all different, so we don't have the same needs. So just
I do have a quick follow-up question on that. So we talked about professors and what professors can do to support students. What can offices on campus do right now, or units or departments, or specifically what can LSS be doing right now to assist Latinx students on campus?
I think kind of just how we mentioned before, just like giving different resources that you think would probably be necessary. So like kind of like I mentioned, like if it's maybe somebody giving an opportunity to even tell LSS if LSS doesn't know it himself, like of like mental health resources, whether it's CCS or outside resources or just like smaller lists of like things to do for self-care, I think would already be like something really nice because you never know when you may need it, and that could always be like the place to go to find those resources.
Yeah, I would also suggest like pushing out a resource that would be very helpful, I think, in this time would be letting students know what student advocacy is. I had never heard of student advocacy until we started talking about this CARES grant, and they were like giving out like an emergency fund and like all that, which was very helpful, by the way. I applied for that and it helped pay for my rent when I was suddenly unemployed. But letting students know that student advocacy is there to sort of help them if they encounter problems with their professors who aren't being accommodating in these times, or I don't know, anything that might pop up in terms of academics and they need help. Like that's what they are. They will advocate for you.
I do have another quick follow-up question on that. So what is one thing you would like to see the university as a whole do to support Latinx students? Is there anything in particular beyond the providing of resources of mental health?
I want to jump in on that because I feel like, at least from our organization, SECNAS, the thing that we need the most right now is exposure. We need to reach those students. That's the limiting step we have right now. You know, we have programming, we have a lot of ideas for them. It's just really hard sometimes to reach them because they are so flooded with emails, which is one of the easiest ways to get to them, especially now with this virtual world. So yeah, new ways to reach those students. That's at least what my organization needs.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. The university, is very clear on like what sort of organizations they want you to join. Like one big one, for example, is Buckeyethon. Like they push that all the time, right? You hear about it everywhere. It's literally plastered all throughout campus. So being able to find means to push other organizations like SACNAS in different mediums, whether it be emails, bulletin boards in the union, flyers throughout campus, posting on social media, things like that. Just simple exposure. And then another thing, I talked about this recently with some other student leaders. I can't remember what it was, but we were talking about maybe like Latinx students being provided a space where they have their own like alumni network system and a space to sort of set them up with internships or like a mentor of some sort through the university. I know there's already mentoring programs, but that was a bad example. But just sort of like providing those resources more directly rather than just saying, oh, there's this one program over there, or there's this one organization over there that can help you. Go figure it out. So sort of, I don't know, making them more direct and helping them as students approach them rather than like redirecting them.
So I know when I was first coming to the university, what really brought me to some of these student groups was the Hispanic Heritage Month. And so that's when I did see more advertisements around campus on the TVs, on the gym and stuff. And so that's what made me actually join some of the groups that I'm in now, or at least look into student groups that are Latinx. So I recommend kind of doing that, not just in a month. I understand that it is, I guess, our month, but kind of extending that past that October.
Okay, so the last question for tonight is, what are you doing on November 3rd?
I'm gonna jump in before the car starts again. I'm gonna be a poll worker, so I need good vibes and hopefully no trouble happens. I voted early, so if you can vote early and you are eligible to vote, please vote. And yeah, I will be a poll worker. So hopefully when I get home at night, I'll just crash and then learn the results if we have them the next day. But yeah.
I have already sent in my absentee ballot, so I will not be like voting in person, but I think I'll probably just be going about my day, but just like super anxious, honestly. But I will be making sure to do self-care that night or all day, really, to calm those nerves. So I think that's what I'll be doing for the most part.
Yeah, I'm pretty much, I was gonna say the same thing. I just did my early voting yesterday. I was back in my hometown. So come November 3rd, I've never used melatonin, but I think I'm just gonna buy my first bottle and just take some and go to sleep and just not worry about it. And we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah, like at Stefania, I did my absentee ballot. So, I mean, I don't have anything planned for that day yet. So I guess maybe when we get a little closer to the actual day, I'll start thinking about it.
Well, thank y'all. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, from Trello and Los Guachos, self-care, mental health, student advocacy, dorm experience, advice for professors just to chill out. This was a very thoughtful, engaging presentation and panel. And in closing, I want to take this time to thank the moderators, Michelle and Isabel, our panelists, Jesse, Chilal, Stefania, Priscilla, our current attendees, and our future viewers for joining us for our first The Ohio State University Latinx Experience webinar series. Tomorrow, we'll be hosting staff members to continue this discussion, and more information about our upcoming webinars can be found at odi.osu.edu/Latinx-student-success or odi.osu.edu. Should you have any future questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact myself, any of the panelists, or our moderators. Thank you once again, and have a great night, everyone.